We have a quorum with Chairman Shinakis and Alex Vallejo representing HFA Chairman Ken Adams present. Is there a motion to call the meeting to order, meeting of the members of the Housing Trust Fund Corporation to order?
Moved.
And a second? Second. As we proceed through today's meeting, I will be using these first and seconds. Will be used unless specific items call for a different vote or unless any board member or director wishes to record his or her vote differently. If there are no comments on the minutes of the meeting held on November 15th, 2017, the meetings will be deemed approved.
Yep.
No comments.
Okay. Next before the board is a resolution adopting the minority and women-owned business enterprise program annual goal plan, and this would be for HTFC.
Good morning once again. So in the interest of the closing that is chasing us out the room, I'll keep this very brief. My colleague Tamika Edwards should be up in Albany, and she'll be joining me in the presentation. So basically, this goal plan is a requirement. It's due on January 15th, just like the HFA one is. And we basically analyze the agency's expenditures, identify areas for MWBE opportunity, work with the various departments to create a procurement strategy, identify obstacles to meeting the goal, and we seek to achieve the goal. For the purpose of monitoring the activity, we split the expenditures into procurement and development activities. For the fiscal year of 16-17, the overall achievement was 17.71%, with procurement doing 46% and development doing the 17%. So just like with the HFA side, if we don't meet the goal in construction, we don't meet the goal. So procurement was 2% of the budget last fiscal year. So that's why we have a 17% attainment versus 46% or 30% attainment. Most of the commodities are purchased through OGS centralized services. So we don't really have a lot of opportunity in procurement. In development, it's very heavily influenced by capital project development activity. And we've evaluated the different funding programs and the funding sources to make sure that we assess the goal appropriately. So we're working with the agency's procurement teams and the program staff, and we have projected expenditures for these two categories. It's just a projection, but we also take into consideration the exemptions and the exclusions, with the exemptions being areas of no opportunity for MWBEs for contracts that are under $25,000, and the exclusions being where there's just no MWBEs to play in that space. So basically our outreach efforts they mirror what you heard this morning from the HFA side. We participate in industry-related events. We actually did that housing plan survey like we talked about this morning, and we got over 100 responses, and so now the next part will be to actually match up MWBEs based on capacity to projects in the housing plan. And of course, our vice president, actually director on this side, is on the RFP and RFQ committee for all RFPs and RFQs that are issued. So we get opportunity that way because we have input there. And we have that new program that we're looking into. We have the RFP out for that technical assistance program to find the feasibility of this program.
Veronica, just a question. I'm
Sure.
looking at A, and you give us the percentage of procurement usage, right, historically?
Right,
And in B, then you have construction,
right.
and you have the paragraph, but I don't see the same, I guess the same chart there listing construction usage. It goes right to anticipated spend.
Right, okay. So in construction, what's going on right now is, to be quite frank, what happens is we're trying to rectify numbers. because there's been federal spend that has slipped into a string. So we obviously don't want to report on federal dollars because we don't have goals on federal dollars.
So our federal spend at HTFC is not controlled by the state executive law.
Right.
So when this report was initially prepared, the team identified the fact that there were some federal dollars attributed, and we need to go back in and
And
pull
figure
that
out,
out,
Yes.
so that we're only reporting on the state dollars, which is what is the executive law speaks to.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, also, did you have any other questions before I
No,
wrap
that
up
was it.
or
I just-
anything?
okay.
Okay. So, we're also going to connect, faith-based organizations, to MWB developers as well as municipalities. So that also mirrors what we talked about this morning. And that's pretty much the end of the presentation. If you have any questions or comments, please
Yep.
let us know.
Great.
I'll move it.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And I should also note that the members of the board will also be acting in their capacities as members of the audit and governance committees. So I'll ask for first and second to open the meeting of the audit committee.
A motion?
Yeah,
Yep.
Second?
thank you. And for the governance committee?
Motion?
Yeah,
Second.
thank you. So now before the board is a resolution, and I apologize, we also need a motion for the governance committee approving the MWBE annual goal plan.
Yeah, I'll move it.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, so now before the board is resolution adopting the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Business Program Annual Goal Plan. Again, Veronica and Tamika.
Okay, so this is the goal plan that's mandated by Article 17B of the law and the rules and regulations that govern that program. This program is administered by OGS, and that goal plan is due on the 15th as well of January of 2018. So basically, it's the same thing. We analyze the agency's expenditures to identify areas
Now,
of
how are you gonna get anything out of this since they don't issue bonds?
Well, see, okay. What we are doing is, okay, to speak to the strategy, what we have to do is we have to basically say, okay, get as much opportunity in construction as possible.
Okay.
So what we do is say, you have to submit a utilization plan, and it has to be inclusive of SDVOBs. If it's not, then you have to demonstrate that you did outreach to them, so that way we can take it out of our bottom line number.
But it's gonna be harder than HFA because you don't have at least the cushion of that bond from those bond firms.
Right.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, so all we can do is try.
Yeah, you got it.
So, of course, it's a small pool of SDVOBs, and, because there's 100, state agencies and authorities,
Yeah.
and we all have that 6% goal, obviously, we have to shave that bottom line number. It's not anything we can do to, get it on the whole nugget. And there's less than 400 SDVOB firms, so that makes it a little more difficult as well because it's such a small pool. Now, the focus on this one, we're going to try with service contracts and procurement, but that may not necessarily happen. It depends on what flows through, as you're aware. In the development activities, as we spoke about, it's only 35% of the directory that speaks to construction trades. So because of that, we really have to be strategic in how we assess the goal on the contracts. So we will do that as we just discussed. Of course, the other way to shave down that bottom line is to pull out exemptions and exclusions, and so we take advantage of that because, it's a resource that's a remedy that's available to us, and so we take out anything that's under $25,000, anything that doesn't have SDVOB opportunity. We also take out anything where there's no SDVOBs to play. That's where your exclusions come into play. So, and we try to do outreach. So whatever events they offer, which have SDVOB, participation, we participate in. So, and even in our NWBE events, we still push the SDVOB, agenda. So we do try. And of course, we provide ongoing technical training, and we do try to do outreach for particular areas where we think we can get some utilization.
Okay, I'll move it.
Now before the board is a resolution approving the service disabled veteran-owned business annual goal plan. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And assuming the first and second previously entered for the governance committee, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next before the board is a resolution adopting an annual budget and financial plan. It'll be presented by Stacy Mitchell.
Good morning. In order to comply with the requirements of the Public Authorities Accountability Act, every year in December, the Housing Trust Fund Corporation is required to submit the annual budget and financial plan as prepared in the format that's attached in your board minute or your board materials. This is a high-level budget and financial plan that reflects the last year's 16-17 financial statements information, as well as what we're estimating where we're going to be by the end of this fiscal year, what we're adopting for next fiscal year 2019, and then proposals for the budget numbers outlier years of 2020, 2021, and 2022. This is done just for the compliance for the annual submission to Paris, the Public Authority Reporting Information System. And in March, as we do every year, we will bring a much more detailed budget to the board when we have better understanding of where we are at in regards to the state budget and the proposed and the actual numbers we're expecting to receive for the different program areas. I would like to point out that the numbers that are reflected in here, as I stated, last year's are based on last year's financial statements. These do reflect the numbers including the Governor's Office for Storm Recovery, which is not normally something that you would see in a lot of the things that the trust fund prepares, because they do submit their own information directly to you. But this is something that we do have to do to comply with the ABO requirements, and the approval of the board is necessary before we can submit through Paris. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you have.
There are no questions. Now before the board is a motion approving the adoption of the annual budget and financial plan for the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 And assuming the first and second previously entered for the audit committee, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Next before the board is a resolution approving the contract with Elation Systems for internet-based Davis-Bacon labor standards, compliance, monitoring, and reporting.
Hello, I'm
Hi.
Justin McLaughlin-Williams. I'm the Labor Standards and Compliance Manager. Before the board is a request to renew the contract with Elation Software. They're the software company that provides us with the ability to track weekly payroll submissions to ensure that contractors are abiding by Davis-Bacon when the federal prevailing wage provisions have been triggered. This contract's been in effect since 2009 and is a single source contract with an MBE firm. The contract has to be reviewed every year to ensure that the single source contract is actually valid, and our unit has determined that it is.
Great. Any questions? And now before the board is a resolution approving a contract with Elation Systems for internet-based Davis-Bacon labor standards, compliance, monitoring, and reporting. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great, the motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Next before the board is a resolution authorizing an award under the Community Investment Fund for Urban Horizons.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Presented for your consideration is the first of 3 resolutions authorizing awards from the Community Investment Fund, authorized as part of the state fiscal year 13-14 budget. The Community Investment Fund, or CIF, is a flexible funding source that provides HCR, a much needed tool to address the diverse revitalization needs of the communities we serve. The resolution before you authorizes a CIF award of up to $2 million to WEDCO, the Women's Housing and Economic Development Corp., for the rehab of 39,000 square feet of community service space at the former Morrisania Hospital in the Bronx. WEDCO converted the hospital into 132 units of affordable housing in the mid-90s using 9% housing tax credits from HCR. The project's community space currently houses a range of community services, including a health clinic, Head Start program, teen center, food bank, after-school program, and commercial kitchen made available to local entrepreneurs. I had the opportunity to visit the location about a month ago, and it was truly a beehive of activity. A lot of good work being done in the space. Also a lot of wear and tear on the facility. The CIF award will fund a variety of improvements as detailed in the board memo and project briefing sheet. Also, it should be noted that at this time, the residential portion of the project is going through a repositioning and refinancing using New York City HPD's Year 15 program. Although we don't have any funds going into the residential portion, we have coordinated with HPD. We feel like the combination of our and their efforts are going to reposition this asset to serve the community for many years. Be happy to take any questions you might have at this time.
Very practical.
Looks great.
Then assuming the first and second, now before the board is resolution authorizing award under the Community Investment Fund for Urban Horizons, assuming the first and second previously entered for the board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great. Next before the board is resolution authorizing award under the Community Investment Fund for the rep at Livingston Square.
Thank you. The resolution before you authorizes another CIF award of up to $2 million to the Capital Repertory Company to convert an aging warehouse into a new permanent home for the theater group. Local institution, Capital Rep as it's known, has been the only resident professional theater company in the Capital Region since the early 1980s. In partnership with the Albany Housing Authority, this award will complement significant public and private investment already being made into Livingston Square. Livingston Square is a critical link between Albany's downtown arts and warehouse districts. In addition to the theater performance space, the project will also have a restaurant and neighborhood resource center that will offer job training and employment opportunities for residents of the surrounding neighborhood, including residents of Ida Yarborough Homes, public housing redevelopment that HCR is currently financing. It should be noted that the plan of finance for this project relies on approximately $5 million in funding that has not yet been committed to the project, including Restore New York award from ESDC and approximately $3.5 million of capital campaign financing from Capital Rep. The purpose of this CIF award is to provide a little momentum for those fundraising efforts, and as is the case with all of our HTFC resolutions, the award automatically lapses in 360 days if they haven't put together a complete plan of financing. So they are on timeline, but we think this is a good sort of speculative investment to help move the project forward. If there are any questions, be happy to take them at this time.
It's good.
And now before
Musical
the,
theater in Albany.
It's good work.
Albany has a lot of very active musical theater touring groups and
Mr. Nexus. This will be the next. Okay.
Yep. Now before the board is resolution authorizing award under the Community Investment Fund for the rep at Livingston Square. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All in
The
favor,
last
please say.
two things ago, the memo said Jamie. This one has my name, but it's not spelled right. We're not doing.
Should we-
Alex is really not
This-
catching the
Did I-
details. Or
Memo spells your name incorrectly?
I'm like it's in the thing that you don't touch,
It's
like the
Napas.
gray part that's up at the top. You know that like it's
Oh, and the header.
Yeah.
in the header. Yes.
We had Jamie in
Get
one, and
me.
now she's got Biz
Getting
Napas.
dinged every
The
time.
next one, the pressure's on you.
Can't catch a break.
All right.
I don't know. I
sorry,
don't.
yes,
The
yes.
firing will be
Why didn't
tomorrow.
you think of that?
The next one.
I'm just following in the tradition of you
Oh, yes.
OPEB wrong and September
The
wrong.
nightmare of the minutes.
Focus on really
We're gonna
important
give everyone
issues. Yeah.
spell check.
Mhm.
I assume we're approving the
Yes.
motion for the rep at Livingston
Yes.
Square.
Under
Approved
distress.
by-
All right.
Yes.
So now before the board is resolution authorizing an early round award under the Community Investment Fund.
Yes, the third and final CIF SIF authorization presented for your consideration this morning is also the first of 4 resolutions authorizing early awards as part of HCR's 2016 Unified Funding Round, an annual competitive funding round making 9% credits, state tax credits, and a variety of low-interest loan products available for site-specific multifamily rental projects. As part of unified funding, HCR offers an early funding opportunity for high readiness projects that clearly advance state housing goals that were spelled out in the rounds notice of funding availability. The resolution before you and the 3 subsequent resolutions that will be presented for your consideration authorize early awards to 5 projects, each of which are capable of starting construction within the next 120 days, and each of which clearly advance state housing goals described in their briefing sheets. This first resolution authorized the Community Investment Fund Award, early award to RUPCO, Rural Ulster Preservation Company, for Energy Square, the demolition and new construction of a mixed-use, mixed-income, net zero project that will provide 57 units of workforce affordable housing in the city of Kingston. The CIF funding will finance 11,000 square feet of live-work innovation space that will house the Center for Creative Education, a locally based not-for-profit focused on providing innovative educational programs with an emphasis on serving low-income, minority, and at-risk youth. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them this time.
Okay,
What is
then-
net zero?
It means they
Minutes, sorry,
produce
what it
as
means?
much energy as they as they use in an entire year.
Cool. They have to have like a person who figures that out for them.
They have an energy modeling consultant that does that, and it's being financed out of NYSERDA's program. So we have
Cool.
NYSERDA doing the monitoring and the verification that the net zero has actually been achieved.
That's great. That's cool. It's a good group too.
Yeah.
Then, now before the board is a resolution authorizing an early round award under the Community Investment Fund for Energy Square. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Now before the board is a resolution authorizing early awards under the Low Income Housing Trust Fund Program.
Thank you. The resolution before you authorizes early low-income housing trust fund awards to 2 projects, Pintail Crossing, Town of Farmington, Ontario County, and Energy Square in the city of Kingston, as we just described. Pintail is a family housing project, and they will be served by a high-performance school district. It is getting an award under the state's Housing Opportunity Goal. Very excited. This year, we expanded that goal significantly to provide additional incentives for developers proposing those types of projects. Briefing sheets describing the specifics of each of these projects provided for your review. Each project has demonstrated readiness to proceed to construction within 120 days, and each advances specific state housing goals. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them this time.
Move it.
No, we're good.
Okay, then now before the board, assuming that there is a resolution authorizing early awards under the Low Income Housing Trust Fund Program, assuming the first and second previously entered for the board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and resolution adopted. Now before the board, next before the board is a resolution authorizing early round awards under the Multifamily Preservation Program.
Thank you. A resolution before you authorizes multifamily preservation program early awards to Applewood Manor and Fairhaven Apartments, 2 rural HCR regulated affordable projects serving seniors 62 years of age and older. The multifamily preservation program was established this year to provide rehabilitation financing for projects currently regulated by HCR that have significant unmet physical needs that cannot be addressed solely through project reserves. To be eligible for the funds, projects must have been in service for at least 20 years and must propose a scope of work that extends the useful life of the project by at least another 20 years. Both Applewood Manor and Fairhaven Apartments applications have demonstrated that the projects satisfy the criteria for early award. Briefing sheets describing the specifics of each project provided for your review. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them this time.
Great.
It's great.
Then now before the board, assume is a resolution authorizing early round awards under the Multifamily Preservation Program, assuming the first and second previously entered for the board. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next before the board is resolution authorizing early round awards under the Middle Income Housing Program.
Thank you. This final early award resolution authorized middle income housing program awards to 2 projects. West End Loft, City of Beacon, Dutchess County. This is the new construction of 73 units of mixed income transit-oriented workforce housing. It's located a short walk from Metro North's Beacon Station. The other award is for RUPCO's Energy Square, which I described previously. Both projects satisfy the criteria for early award and are expected to commence construction by April 2018. I'd be happy to take any questions at this time.
Yep, you said that too.
Now before the board is a resolution authorizing early round awards under the Middle Income Housing Program. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the
Thank you.
resolution adopted.
Thanks, John.
Next before the board is a resolution authorizing the 2017 Community Development Block Grant Program Housing Awards. Chris.
Good morning, afternoon, right on the cusp of both. Before the board, the Office of Community Renewal is advancing more than $9.3 million in New York State BBG Housing Award recommendations for your consideration and action. A notice of funding availability for this funding round published on June 3rd, 2017, and provided for availability of at least $1 million. In response to no fund request for proposals, a total of 58 eligible applications were submitted from 32 counties and 8 regions across the state. Combined, these applications represent a total request of over $24 million. Recommendations being made today will have 21 of these applications for a total recommended award, $9,350,154. The 21 awards are composed of 5 awards for manufactured home replacement, 3 awards for just strictly water and sewer line work, 5 awards for ownership, which is that payment assistance, essentially, and 8 awards for housing rehab. The proposed number of units for these 21 awards is 251. I think that's the important news. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have on this recommendation.
I'll move.
If there are no
questions for me.
If there are no questions, assuming the first and second previously entered, now before the board is a resolution authorizing the 2017 Community Development Block Grant Program Awards. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Now before the board is a resolution authorizing awards under the Lake Ontario St. Lawrence Seaway Flood Relief and Recovery Program to the town of Greece and the town of Newfane. Jason?
Actually, I'm going to continue
Chris, sorry.
with these. Yeah,
Go
no,
right ahead.
no problem. So we have 2 Lake Ontario infrastructure project awards for the board. One from the town of Newfane, they're seeking $65,693 in relief funds to assist with their immediate emergency actions they took in response to the high water event on Lake Ontario. And Newfane staff were forced to plug road drains in heavily flooded neighborhoods, and as a consequence, the excess rainfall had to be pumped from that area, which caused a whole other host of problems, including several sanitary sewer pumps being required. Again, just a general affair. The $65,693 will be funded out of CDBG funds, and I'm seeking a recommendation and a resolution for this action. I understand we have another one under the same item. So the second award for the town of Greece, same situation, except this request is for $576,184. Again, due to the flooding, the same type of immediate emergency response, which is basically sandbags, sewer sanitary pumps, and other items you see outlined in the memo. This application is coming from the town of Greece, which is in Monroe County, which means it's not eligible for the state CDBG program. So this is being funded out of the New York State General Infrastructure Fund. So that's the second item. Just for the application deadline for the infrastructure program is the end of December. We have 8 projects pending, 2 or 3 of which we might recommend for the January board. The other projects we haven't yet fully received full applications for. So we know of at least 8 more coming in the new year. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have on this.
If there are no questions before the board, now before the board is a resolution authorizing the Lake Ontario St. Lawrence Seaway Flood Relief Program, flood relief and recovery program to make an award to the town of Greece and the town of Newfane, assuming the first and second previously entered. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Now before the board is a resolution authorizing an award under the Community Development Block Grant Program for Small Business Assistance to Livingston County for Rising Storm Brewery Company. Would not be an HTFC meeting if we did not have a brewery.
That's correct. Good afternoon. Livingston County is requesting $100,000 in New York State CDBG small business funds to assist Rising Storm Brewing in the opening of their microcraft brewery. Rising Storm is a startup brewery created in March of 2017, and they will be a small-scale brewery producing and serving high-quality beer for on-site and regional consumption through self-distribution. The proposed project will involve leasehold improvements to a 3,300 square foot facility, creating the space for the brew house and tap room, storage space, and an outdoor deck, and then to install exhaust and cooling systems required for the brewing operations. The total project cost of $375,000 will create 5 full-time jobs over the 2 years, with 4 or 80% to benefit low to moderate income persons. The CDBG funds will be used towards the purchase of machinery and equipment and working capital, and the cost per job is $20,000. Each dollar in New York State CDBG funds provided will leverage $275 in private investment. Requesting a recommendation resolution to provide CDBG small business funds to Livingston County for Rising Storm Brewing Company.
Any questions?
Be happy to answer any questions.
Then assuming the first, now before the board is a resolution authorizing an award under the Community Development Block Grant Program for Small Business Assistance to Livingston County for Rising Storm Brewery Company LLC. Assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Now before the board is a resolution authorizing an award under the Community Development Block Grant Program for Economic Development to the town of Delhi for Green Slate Holdings LLC.
Thank you. The town of Delhi in Delaware County is requesting $238,000 in New York State CDBG economic development funds to assist Green Slate with renovation expenses and the purchase of furniture, fixtures, and equipment, as well as working capital expenses needed to expand operations at their newly renovated office space. Green Slate, this is not a brewery, but Green Slate is a full-service accounting, payroll, and human resource provider that works exclusively with the television and film industries. They are known for their proprietary innovation of software applications and have created a unique digital-based platform for accounting and payroll services, which enables them to provide these services to the industry in roughly half the time of their competitors. With operations at full capacity, it's necessary for them to expand to meet the needs of their rapidly growing client base. This location should be noted. This location was chosen for the expansion over other states' locations due to the cost competitiveness in the local real estate and labor markets. The total project cost of just over $848,000 will create 16 full-time equivalent jobs, with 10 or 63% to benefit low to moderate income persons. The funds will again be used for working capital, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. The cost per job is $14,875, with each dollar in CDBG funds leveraging $2.56 in private investment. We're requesting a recommendation and resolution to provide New York State CDBG ED funds to the town of Delhi.
If there are no questions, now before the board is resolution authorizing an award under the Community Development Block Grant Program for Economic Development to the town of Delhi for Green Slate Holdings LLC. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Now before the board is resolution authorizing an award under the Community Development Block Grant Program for Economic Development to the city of Canandaigua for Canandaigua Finger Lakes Resort LLC.
Thank you. The city of Canandaigua is requesting $750,000 in New York State CDBG economic development funds to assist the Canandaigua Finger Lakes Resort in the development of a 5.5-acre waterfront resort. Initially started in 2014, but construction was halted in the summer of 15 due to financing issues. The developers have since updated the business plan and market study, revised the capital budget, and have selected Hay Creek Hotels to manage and operate the facilities. Upon completion, this project has been approved for branding by Hilton Hotel Corporation as part of their Tapestry collection. The proposed project will involve construction of a new resort facility consisting of 109 guest rooms and suites, a waterfront restaurant with indoor and outdoor seasonal seating, a 12,000 square foot meeting space, and a 5,000 square foot full service spa and on-site parking. The proposed total project cost of $19,087,000 will create 88 full-time jobs over 2 years, with 62 to benefit low to moderate income persons. CDBG funds will be used towards the purchase of furniture and fixtures specifically for the guest rooms and suites, and the cost per job is $8,522. Each dollar in CDBG funds provided will leverage $24.44 in private investment. Requesting a recommendation resolution to provide CDBG economic development funds to the city of Canandaigua for the Finger Lakes Resort.
Is there any questions?
Nope.
Nope.
Chance to stay Canandaigua 2 more times. Now before the board is a resolution authorizing the board under the Community Development Block Grant Program for economic development to the city of Canandaigua for the Canandaigua Finger Lakes Resorts LLC, assuming the first and second previously entered. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hi.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Now before the board is a resolution authorizing an award under the Community Development Block Grant Program for economic development to the city of Oneida for All Seasons Ingredients LLC.
There we go. Burger, nuts and
The
seeds.
city of Oneida is requesting $162,000 in New York State CDBG economic development funds to assist All Seasonings Ingredients with the purchase of machinery and equipment expenses needed to expand their operations. All Seasonings is a privately owned company catering to small to mid-sized food service distributors with private label spice and ingredient products. They've experienced significant growth in annual revenue and increased employment and production. They support local, regional, and national consumer outlets, including Wegmans, Price Chopper, and Little Caesars, with their spices and ingredients. The city of Oneida was previously awarded $436,200 in 2013 to assist All Seasonings, for which the company successfully created 15 full-time equivalent jobs. This project proposed it goes beyond the scope of the 2013 project, where they'll purchase additional equipment to expand increase their efficiencies. The proposed project will be $429,000, will create 11 full-time jobs over 2 years, with 10 or 91% to benefit low to moderate income persons. The cost per job is $14,727, with each dollar of CDBG funds leveraging $1.65 in private investment. We're requesting a recommendation resolution to provide CDBG economic development funds to the city of Oneida for All Seasonings.
Is there any questions?
Nope.
And now before the board is resolution authorizing an award under the Community Development Block Grant Program for economic development to the city of Oneida for All Seasons Ingredients Inc., assuming the first and second previously entered for the board. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried and resolution adopted. Now before the board is resolution authorizing awards under the Small Rental Development Initiative.
Thank you, members of the Housing Trust Fund Corporation and others present here today. Good morning, afternoon. I'm here requesting a resolution to authorize 5 awards totaling $5,241,570 in federal home funds in the Small Rental Development Initiative. As I said last month when I came, it's affectionately known as CERDI, so you'll just hear me say CERDI throughout the rest of my comments. CERDI is a new Office of Community Renewal Initiative to preserve small project rental housing. Eligible applicants were nonprofits, community housing development organizations, and housing authorities that will own, develop, and long-term manage rental housing projects of 25 or less units. CERDI is unique in that it allowed applicants to submit scattered site single-family rental housing as a single project, as long as all the sites were under common ownership, financing, and management of the applicant. CERDI allowed rehabilitation of existing rental housing, acquisition and rehabilitation of existing rental housing, or new construction of rental housing. In your board packet, there's a briefing sheet detailing each project being submitted for board approval, along with a board memo describing the overall CERTI program and REDC regions of the proposed awards. To expedite, I'm not going to review each individual project, but will now describe some highlights for the universe of these 5 projects. 5 projects will rehabilitate or newly construct 44 units. 2 of the projects are new construction, one with modular construction, the second one is a frame-built construction. 3 are existing substantial rehab of existing housing. 2 of those are going to be developed into single-room occupancy units for both homeless and folks with developmental disabilities. Those are conversions of single-family homes into 2-bedroom SRO units with a shared kitchen and bath. All projects have demonstrated local market need for rental units in their area and that they have the experience and the capacity to carry out the projects. All projects have been underwritten and demonstrate sustainability throughout a 20-year operating projection. Typical affordability period for CERTI is 15 or 20 years. All 5 are applicants. All 5 of these proposed awards are new applicants to the Home Local program. One is a certified community housing development organization. The average project size of these 5 projects is 8 to 9 units, with the largest being 2 12-unit buildings for a total of 24 units, and the smallest being a single-family home conversion into 2 SRO bedroom units. 26 of the units, or 59% of the 44 units, are targeted to special needs populations. 10 of the units will be fully accessible, and those are really relegated under those new construction projects. One project does include the acquisition of vacant land to build a facility, the 8-unit project. One of them is actually a rehab of 8 elder cottages that HCR funded back in the 90s. So this will be the first time they've had a big infusion of funds to rehabilitate those units. And those are elder cottages for folks over 62. The rehab is going to include universal design features and visitability, which will make it much more accessible for the seniors. All existing housing rehab projects must include weatherization in the scope of work and energy efficiency measures as well. All new construction must meet energy efficiency standards of NYSERDA Multifamily New Construction Program or the New York Energy Star Certified Homes Program. With these awards, these projects will have all funds available, and after contract execution, we expect start of construction in spring of 2018. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer any at this time.
None for me, these seem great.
Okay, assuming the first, now before the board, is a resolution authorizing awards under the Small Rental Development Initiative. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and resolution adopted. Now before the board is a resolution approving the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery Internal Audit Plan. John Sharimi is joining us by phone.
Hi, John.
John? Sorry, we're just turning up the volume.
Okay.
Okay, Greg, we can hear you now. Thanks you.
Okay. In front of you today is item number 19, a resolution to discuss GOZER internal audit semi-annual audit plan for the period December 2017 through June 2018. Additionally, as an informational item, number 25, is entitled GOZER's Internal Audit Department Summary of Work Performed for the period April 25th, 2017 through November 27th, 2017. Both of these documents can be discussed today. And what I'll first start to do is start with the semi-annual audit plan.
John, I think that's fine. I don't think there's any need to discuss the internal audit department summary unless the board has questions.
Okay.
The only question I have is, why is the,
He's doing the plan first.
this audit plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, why is the memo confidential to GOZER? Why does it say confidential to GOZER since?
In
It's being
IEP's
made.
audit charter, it stipulates among other things, that IED communicate to the board on a semi-annual basis its audit plan, and the charter also states that the audit plan should be coded confidential to GOZA.
Because it's public now. Okay, I got it.
I'm really just following the charter.
Okay.
Your point is accurate and certainly will take it.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so let me first just say that, should the Rising Star Brewery ever need internal audit oversight, I offer myself and my assistant to their.
It's very generous of you.
Okay, so the audit plan is based on a rigorous, and I want to emphasize rigorous and broadly scoped risk assessment. That risk assessment was weighted in the fact that we examined 9 sources of potential risks or evidence describing risks. We put risks in a spreadsheet. We weighted them across various risk elements, and the most highest risk items made the risk assessment. That risk assessment was discussed with GOZA's Chief Operating Officer, and a plan to perform, or actually a plan to potentially perform 4 new projects is listed on page 2. We also plan to continue projects in progress. The first is the Housing Vendor Program Audit, entitled Integrity Monitoring and Compliance Audit of Housing Program Vendors. This is a large, broadly based engagement. It basically covers 3 areas. It covers compliance to the vendor's task orders. It additionally covers, you may say, an accounts payable audit of the vendor's invoices. And it also covers business relationships, both within the vendor and among other vendors, and what's entitled business intelligence testing. Excuse me. That's progressing very well. Deloitte has issued 3 draft reports for 3 vendors. The 4th draft report will be issued next week, and Deloitte is currently working on the final 2 vendors. I guess I'm happy with their work. Their reports are roughly totaling 25 pages per vendor, very well detailed and documented. I additionally requested a summary spreadsheet from Deloitte to really pull together all 6 of these reports so that management could get a better handle on and get their arms around the issues in a summary format. I also plan to continue departmental administration. I admit to my work papers needing some work. They need to be finalized and archived. I plan to do that, as well as work on internal audits, SOP manual, and required work paper templates for us to use going forward. With respect to new projects, as I said, these 4 new projects bubbled up in the risk assessment process. They've been discussed with the Chief Operating Officer, and they are described. The first is Check and Safe. GOZA holds Check and Safe for the housing program and also rental properties. I should say single-family housing and rental properties, housing program in general. Additionally is GOZA's fraud hotline. That will examine the completeness, of transaction processing, for lack of a better term, and also the sufficiency of reporting those transactions, and whether a closed transaction has been approved by an appropriate representative of COSER's legal department. The third is subrecipient agreements. Subrecipient agreements basically is a follow-on to to IED's subrecipient accounts payable audit that was completed in the September timeframe. Essentially, projects need to be evidenced as being closed, number one, and we're also concerned about the internal control process within COSER to close a project. So it's a natural tie-in, you may say, to natural tie-in and completion of the subrecipient accounts payable report. Finally, we would like to look at cell phones, COSER cell phones. It's a good area to look at. It's, I think we could agree it's lesser risk than the other three, but I believe it's a good examination and it's going to be a good report for us. There's a number of parts in it. Of course, we want to look at how folks are authorized to get a phone, whether or not carrier invoices are accurate, and also the inventory of cell phones. So there's a number of facets to cell phone engagement. That's basically it for the audit plan. I could certainly discuss the summary work performed.
I don't think that's necessary.
Okay.
Are there any questions from the board?
None for me?
Okay, then assuming the first and second previously entered now before the board is a resolution approving the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery annual internal audit plan. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the audit committee, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Assuming the first and second previously entered for the board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. The next three items are resolutions ratifying written approval that was previously provided by the board. On November 30th, the members authorized payments in an aggregate amount of up to $35,000 for consulting services related to a proposal, presentation, and related services in connection with HTFC's Section 8 performance-based contract administrative services solicitation. On November 30th, the members authorized an award of up to $1,721,911 under Homes for Working Family for La Central Phase 1. On December 12th, the members authorized 20 awards under the Main Street program, and on December 12th, the members authorized 49 awards under the Community Development Block Grant Program for Community Planning, Microenterprise Assistance, Public Facilities, and Public Infrastructure. We'll now ask for a motion of the board to ratify these actions, assuming the first and second previously entered. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Now before the board is a resolution approving the CEQA documentation and classification of Ida Yarborough Phase 2. Heather?
Morning, everyone. This morning I have one project that I'm recommending for an unlisted negative declaration. It is the Ida Yarborough project in the city of Albany in Albany County. It is for the new construction of 72 units in 2 buildings on infill sites in the city using HTF funds. No unmitigated adverse environmental impacts were found, and at this time, unless you have questions, I make my recommendation that an unlisted negative declaration be made. Thank you.
Great. If no questions of the board, assuming the first and second previously entered, now before the board is a resolution approving the CEQA documentation and classification of Ida Yarborough Phase 2. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Alex, you just say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried and the resolution adopted. The remaining items are informational items and no board action is necessary. First is a review of the contract with Saks BST Independent Auditor Services. Next is a review of the work summary of the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery Internal Audit Department. Next is a review of authorized contracts under the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery. Next is review of the SECRA Concur summaries. 28 is review of the SECRA Type 2 projects. And our last item is review of the SECRA determinations by the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery. Are there any questions?
Nope.
Okay, then assuming the first and second previously entered, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting of the board?
Yep, motion.
So moved.
And a motion to adjourn the meetings of the audit and governance committees?
Okay. Moved.
Thank you, the meetings are adjourned.
Moved and moving.